Hi, my name is Maya Collins. Hey. Before we get into the story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. My mother, Evelyn Collins, once looked me straight in the eye and said, "We all talked about it. You're not welcome this Christmas." She didn't raise her voice. She didn't hesitate. She said it the way someone reads weather updates, neutral, practiced, final. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't even ask why. I simply stopped paying the mortgage on the house they were celebrating in. But that came later. What hurt more in that moment was realizing this decision hadn't been sudden. It wasn't emotional or impulsive. It had been planned. Quietly. Collectively. While I paid the bills, fixed the oven, restocked the pantry, and smiled through family dinners where no one really looked at me. That morning, I'd checked my email expecting the usual holiday chaos, group messages about who was bringing dessert, who needed airport pickup, which night would all pretend we hadn't avoided each other for 11 months straight. Nothing. I refreshed once. Then twice. Then a third time, out of habit, not hope. Still empty. I tried to convince myself it was early. Maybe no one had started planning yet. But my chest felt tight in a way I'd learned not to ignore. This wasn't forgetfulness. It was silence by design. Later that afternoon, I opened our shared family drive, the one we used every December. Gift lists, recipes, playlists, and the ridiculous spreadsheet my sister Lauren Collins made each year ranking who brought the most useful dish. The folder was gone. Not hidden. Not renamed. Gone? I didn't panic. I didn't message anyone right away. I clicked through old links, tried a saved bookmark. Access denied. I finally sent a short text to Lauren. "Hey, did you delete the family folder by mistake?" No reply. 38 minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Mom? I figured you'd be busy this year," Evelyn wrote. "Don't stress about Christmas." That was it. No, how are you? No, we missed you last year. Just a sentence carefully designed to sound kind while closing a door. I didn't respond. I took a screenshot. That night, I lay in bed longer than usual, my phone face down on the nightstand. The apartment felt quieter than normal. I wasn't crying. I stopped crying over predictable disappointments a long time ago, but something inside me shifted. Like furniture being rearranged without asking. I'd seen this pattern before. The previous Christmas, I arrived late after a work meeting ran long. I walked in carrying gifts and still warm cookies I'd baked at 2 in the morning. No one looked up. Every chair at the table was full. I ended up standing at the counter with a paper plate and no napkin. "Look who finally showed up," someone muttered. They laughed. Back then, I told myself it wasn't intentional. Holidays were stressful. People forgot things. Maybe they forgot I didn't eat pork. Maybe they forgot I was still coming. But now, sitting alone in my apartment, it all looked different. It felt deliberate. That night, I opened my budgeting spreadsheet. My eyes landed on one line I knew by heart. December mortgage payment, $1,368, auto draft 3 years. Every month. On time. They lived in that house. They celebrated birthdays there. Engagements. Baby showers. All in rooms I'd helped renovate, repair, and furnish. And yet, there wasn't a chair for me. I closed the laptop. I didn't cancel anything, not yet. But something cracked quietly inside me, like glass under steady pressure. And I knew, with unsettling clarity, that it wasn't going to mend the same way again. I didn't text anyone after that. I didn't open social media looking for clues. I'd learned the hard way that searching for proof only deepened the cut. Instead, I sat in the quiet of my apartment, listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic outside. No Christmas lights. No music. Just space. The silence stretched, and with it came clarity. 5 days later, my phone buzzed while I was unloading groceries. Milk. Celery. A bottle of red wine I probably wouldn't open. The screen lit up with Evelyn's name, still saved in all caps, because I'd never bothered to change it. I let it ring once. Then I hit play. Her voice was flat, carefully neutral, the tone people use when they've rehearsed something until it stops sounding cruel to them. "The family talked," she said, "and we think it might be easier if you don't come this year. It's nothing personal." We all agreed. You know how things get. We all agreed. Not "I'm sorry." Not "this hurts me." Just a verdict delivered with no room for appeal. I didn't drop the groceries. I didn't swear. I set the bag down slowly, took off my coat, and replayed the message twice. Then I saved it. That night, I opened our old group chat, me, Lauren, and 2 cousins. The name had changed. The real ones. My name wasn't listed anymore. It was such a small thing. A few taps. A rename. But it landed harder than the voicemail. This wasn't avoidance anymore. It was removal. I checked another thread from last year, holiday chaos. Gone? Archived somewhere I couldn't reach, or maybe deleted entirely. My inbox showed the same pattern. No calendar invites. No reminder emails. Not even Lauren's usual passive-aggressive messages about labeling serving dishes. It was like I'd been carefully scrubbed from December. Around 10 that night, I opened a bottle of wine and sat on the couch, scrolling mindlessly through work emails. That's when I saw a comment under my cousin Rachel's post. "Glad everyone could be there for the vote. Hard, but necessary." I clicked. A group photo filled the screen. 12 people crowded around my mother's dining table, smiling like they'd just accomplished something important. Lauren held up a wine glass. My uncle laughed mid-sentence. Evelyn sat at the end of the table, her hand resting on Rachel's shoulder like she'd passed down authority. There was no empty chair. No place card. No space held for me. They hadn't just decided I wasn't welcome. They'd voted. I closed the app, muted the group, and turned off my phone. The next morning, I listened to Evelyn's voicemail again while brushing my teeth. The words landed differently this time. We all agreed. It sounded less like a family decision and more like a corporate one. Like my role had been quietly eliminated. I didn't call her back. Instead, I opened a blank document on my laptop and started typing. Mortgage payments, 2020 to present property taxes, holiday groceries, last year oven repair, March 2021 utilities, summer months down payment assistance, notarized, July 2019 line by line. Date by date. It wasn't anger driving my hands. It was focus. If they were going to erase me from the story, I was going to keep my own record. A few hours later, Lauren's name flashed on my screen. Her message was short. Precise. No emojis. "You always made things tense. Honestly, it's better this way." Then another line, like an afterthought she'd been waiting years to write. "You were never really good at being part of this family." I stared at the message, blinked once, then took a screenshot and saved it in the same folder as everything else. You don't have to shout to erase someone. Quiet edits work just as well. That evening, as I reheated leftovers, a memory notification popped up on my phone. 3 years ago. A photo of the gifts I'd shipped overnight to Evelyn's house. A bracelet Lauren once admired. A scarf I picked because it matched the color Mom used to wear when she still taught. In the photos posted later, the tags read, "From all of us." I wasn't mentioned. I set the phone down, suddenly restless, and walked to the window. Across the street, a couple was hanging Christmas lights, white and gold, classic. The kind Evelyn used to love. I hadn't bought a tree. I hadn't even thought about it. And for the first time, I let myself ask the question I'd avoided for years: if I'm not invited to be part of this family, why am I still paying to hold it together? I didn't stop the mortgage payment that day. Not yet. I told myself I needed time to think, to cool down, to be rational. But the truth was simpler and harder to admit. I was still hoping someone would notice. Hoping someone would call and ask if I was okay. Hoping exclusion was a misunderstanding that could be undone with one honest conversation. It never came. I spent the next 2 days moving through life on autopilot. Work emails. Meetings. Small talk with co-workers who asked if I was ready for the holidays. I smiled and nodded and changed the subject. They didn't need the truth. At night, the apartment felt heavier. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that forces you to hear your own thoughts. I kept returning to the same memory, last Christmas, standing at the kitchen counter while everyone else sat together. The way no one had moved a chair. The way no one had said, "Oh, Maya, sit here." It wasn't cruelty. It was worse. It was indifference. On the third night, I opened my banking app while eating dinner. The mortgage payment was scheduled to draft in 3 days. I stared at the number longer than I expected, not because I couldn't afford it, but because I finally let myself ask a question I'd buried for years. Why was I still paying for a life I wasn't allowed to be in? The thought didn't arrive loudly. It settled. Calm. Certain. I didn't act on it right away. Instead, I clicked into the transaction history and scrolled backward. Payment after payment. 36 in total. Each one tagged to the same property in Asheville. They lived there. They laughed there. They argued there and made up there. And they called it our house without ever saying thank you. That night, I slept poorly. The next morning, while making coffee, I checked social media without thinking. Evelyn had posted a photo of the dining room, candles lit, table fully set, 12 chairs. The caption read, "Grateful for everyone who made this family whole again this year." Whole. The word landed like a bruise. I zoomed in on the photo. I recognized the place cards, Lauren's looping handwriting, the glitter pen she insisted on using every year. No empty seat. No missing name. I wasn't expected. I wasn't wanted. I opened my calendar. My PTO approval for December 22nd through the 27th was still there, wedged between 2 meetings. I'd requested it months ago, just in case. I cancelled it. Then I cancelled the flight. It was non-refundable. I didn't care. This wasn't a protest. It was a decision. They wanted a Christmas without me. They were going to get it. The next day, I made myself a real breakfast, eggs, toast, orange slices, and opened my banking app again. The mortgage payment was still scheduled. 3 days away. I stared at it, not with anger, but with clarity. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about teaching them a lesson. It was about finally aligning my actions with the truth I'd been living in denial of. I wasn't part of that household. I wasn't part of that family. So why was I acting like the safety net? I closed the app without making changes and went for a walk. The air was cold enough to sting. I passed houses decorated in lights and wreaths, windows glowing warmly. 4 years, I'd believed love meant endurance. That loyalty meant staying quiet. That if I gave enough, they'd see me. They never did. That night, I didn't watch TV or scroll on my phone. I opened my laptop and created a new folder on my desktop. Exit plan. I didn't overthink the name. Inside it, I started saving everything. Screenshots. Receipts. Bank statements. Emails. Documents I'd ignored for years because they made me uncomfortable. If they ever tried to rewrite this story, and I knew they would, I wanted the truth preserved somewhere they couldn't edit it. By the time I closed the laptop, the apartment felt different. Still quiet, but lighter. Like something heavy had been set down. I looked at the calendar. 3 days. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do yet. But for the first time in years, I knew this much with absolute certainty: whatever happened next, I wasn't going to carry it alone anymore. The question followed me everywhere for the next 2 days. Why was I still paying for a life I wasn't allowed to be part of? It stayed with me in the shower, at work, in the grocery store aisle where holiday music played softly over the speakers. It didn't feel angry. It felt resolved, like an answer that had already been decided before I stopped fighting it. That night, instead of opening Netflix, I logged into my banking dashboard. The mortgage payment was still scheduled, $1,368 set to leave my account in 3 days. I clicked into the details, then into the history. Month after month. Year after year. 36 payments. Every one of them automatic. Silent. Reliable. They never asked if it was still okay. They never checked in. They just assumed it would keep happening, the way people assume lights will turn on when they flip the switch. I opened my cloud storage and navigated to a folder I hadn't touched in years. Old scanned documents. Loan papers. Forms I'd signed without fully reading because I trusted the person sitting across from me at the kitchen table. There it was. The warranty deed. Owner, Evelyn Collins. My name wasn't on it. I'd co-signed the loan so she could qualify for the mortgage. It was supposed to be temporary. She'd promised to add my name later, once things stabilized. That conversation had happened 3 years ago in a grocery store aisle, frozen peas in my hand, her voice casual, reassuring. I believed her because she was my mother. But the paperwork was clear. I wasn't an owner. I was a pair. The realization didn't knock the air out of me. It settled slowly, painfully, like cold seeping into bone. This wasn't just emotional exclusion. It was financial dependence disguised as family loyalty. I closed the file and leaned back in my chair. For the first time, I let myself name it. I had been used. Quietly. Systematically. With a smile. Around 9 that evening, my phone buzzed. An email forwarded by my aunt, probably sent to the wrong person. I almost deleted it without opening, but something made me pause. It was a photo. The kitchen. Their kitchen. The one I'd paid to remodel. New backsplash. Custom chairs. Granite counters I'd driven 4 hours to pick out because Evelyn said the local ones looked cheap. 12 people around the table. Candles lit. Everyone smiling. The caption read, "In Mom's home, where she raised us all." My chest didn't hurt. But something behind my eyes buzzed, like static. I read it again. Mom's home. Not ours. Not shared. Hers. I checked the message thread. No thank you. No acknowledgement. Just silence. I opened my banking app. Paused the mortgage auto payment. The screen asked me to confirm. I didn't hesitate. Done? I sat there for a moment after, not with triumph, not with fear, just with a heavy calm. I knew no one would call immediately. They wouldn't notice right away. People who benefit quietly rarely watch the source closely. I didn't send a warning. I didn't write a message. I just went back to my desktop and opened the exit plan folder again. I added more files. Utility bills. Insurance statements. Renovation receipts. Everything documented, dated, organized. This wasn't revenge. This was preparation. The next morning, I logged into each utility account: electric, gas, internet, insurance. All still in my name. Originally, Evelyn had asked me to help out for a bit after she retired. That bit had turned into years. One by one, I cancelled the services. Carefully. Methodically. I forwarded every confirmation email to myself and saved them in the folder. I wasn't being dramatic. I was being clean. When I closed the laptop, the apartment felt colder, but steadier. Like standing outside after locking a door you'd been holding shut for too long. December 24th arrived quietly. I made soup from scratch and wrapped a small gift for my neighbor's daughter, the one who brought my mail upstairs when it rained. By early evening, I was curled up on the couch, bowl in my lap, when my phone buzzed. A group text. I wasn't supposed to be included. Did anyone call Duke Energy? Power just went out mid-potluck. Mom's freaking out, everything's black. I looked at the clock. 6:14 p.m. I opened my email. Service termination confirmed, December 24th, 6 p.m. I didn't respond. I leaned back, the soup still warm in my hands, and whispered to the empty room, they thought comfort was free. An hour passed. Then another message lit up my phone. Maya, did you do this? I let the screen dim in my hand. The answer didn't need to be spoken. The moment the lights went out in that house, they already knew. They just didn't want to say my name yet, like naming it would make it real. I imagined the scene without effort. Candles being dug out of drawers. Flashlights shaking as batteries rattled inside. Lauren pacing, voice sharp, blaming someone else, anyone else. Evelyn on the phone with customer service, trying to sound calm while outrage leaked through her words. What do you mean the account's inactive? You're not listed as the primary or secondary holder. Silence. The kind that follows realization. I didn't check social media. I didn't need proof. I didn't want satisfaction. That house had gone dark because something they relied on had stopped. That was all. Later that night, I opened my planner and typed a single line, December 24th, first Christmas not subsidizing betrayal. I made another cup of tea and let the quiet settle around me. Around 10:20 p.m., my phone buzzed again. This time it was my cousin Noah. Hey, did something happen? Aunt Evelyn is losing it. I stared at the message for a long moment. I could have replied. I could have explained. I could have defended myself. But something in me refused. I wasn't interested in narrating my boundaries to people who'd voted me out. I set the phone face down and turned off the lamp. I slept deeper than I had in weeks. The next morning, while stirring sugar into my coffee, a message came through from a coworker I barely spoke to outside meetings. He'd forwarded me a link. A local news article. I opened it. There was Evelyn, smiling beneath a banner headline, Evelyn Collins hosts annual holiday charity potluck in Asheville. The photo showed the dining room. My dining room. The tile floor I paid for. The chandelier they once called too modern, until it became the perfect backdrop. Lauren stood beside her, arm linked, both of them glowing with public generosity. The caption read, "Special thanks to the Collins family for opening their beautiful home to the community." My name wasn't mentioned. I laughed before I realized I was doing it. Short. Sharp. Disbelieving. That wasn't just omission. That was theft dressed up as grace. The same family that had erased me was now accepting praise for my money, my labor, my space. And I knew, deep down, I'd always known, Evelyn would do this. I just hadn't expected to see it printed. That afternoon, I sat on my balcony, letting the cold numb my fingers. The air felt cleaner out there, more honest. Around 4, a private message came in from my youngest cousin, Tessa. She was 25, quiet at gatherings, observant in a way that made people underestimate her. Her message was simple. "I need to show you something." I didn't agree with what they did. I recorded it. An audio file was attached. I hesitated. Then I pressed play. Lauren's voice came through first. "She's cold. Everything she does feels calculated. Like she wants credit for being decent." Then Evelyn. "She's not really family. She's just convenient." Laughter. Then my uncle's voice, smooth and dismissive. "Don't rock the boat. Keep her name on the paperwork. It's clean." The recording ended. No one objected. No one defended me. I sat there long after the audio stopped, phone heavy in my hand. I'd suspected it. Felt it. But hearing my mother call me convenient carved something final into place. That night, I didn't sleep. I uploaded the recording to a clean, anonymous cloud drive. Then I opened a new document and titled it, "Statement of Financial Support, 2019" to present line by line. I laid it all out. Mortgage payments. Property taxes. Renovations. Utilities. Receipts. Dates. Amounts. Facts. Then I sent it, quietly, anonymously, to 3 places. The charity board listed in the article. A local news editor I'd worked with years ago. And my uncle's employer at the bank. No message. No signature. Just truth. When I closed the laptop and made myself chamomile tea, my hands were steady. I wasn't burning anything down. I was turning the lights on. The first call came the next morning. I didn't answer it. Then another. And another. By noon, my phone showed 8 missed calls from Evelyn, 3 from Lauren, and 2 from numbers I didn't recognize. I turned the device face down on the table and went about my day as if nothing had changed. Because for me, nothing had. For them, everything had. Around 1 o'clock, an email notification popped up from a local news editor. "We'd like to verify some information that was anonymously submitted regarding financial contributions tied to the Collins residence." I replied with a single sentence, "Everything in the document is accurate and can be verified through bank records." No name. No emotion. Just truth. An hour later, my uncle's bank placed him on administrative leave pending an internal review. I didn't hear it from him. I heard it from Tessa, who sent me a single text, "They are panicking. They didn't think you'd do anything." I didn't respond. The silence wasn't cruelty. It was finality. By late afternoon, Evelyn left a voicemail. Her voice was thinner than I'd ever heard it. "Maya, please. This has gone too far. We can talk. Families talk. Families don't record each other for convenience. Families don't erase names. Families don't build comfort on one person's quiet suffering." I deleted the message. That evening, I received a formal email from the charity board. They thanked me for bringing transparency to light and informed me that the Collins Families Association was under review. Transparency. Such a gentle word for exposure. That night, I cooked dinner slowly. Intentionally. I put on music and let it play all the way through a song without skipping. For years, I'd lived in a state of constant reaction, anticipating needs, smoothing conflicts, paying for peace. Now there was space. And in that space, something unexpected appeared. Relief. The next morning, a certified letter arrived. Evelyn's handwriting was unmistakable. The loops, the heavy pressure. I almost didn't open it. Inside was a single-page note. I don't know why you're doing this. We never meant to hurt you. You've always been so strong, so independent. I thought you didn't need us the way we needed you. I read it twice. She hadn't apologized. She'd rationalized. She hadn't asked forgiveness. She'd reframed dependence as admiration. I folded the letter carefully and placed it in the exit plan folder. Documentation isn't about revenge. It's about clarity. By midday, the news article had been updated. Correction: financial contributors to the Collins residence are under review following new disclosures. The photo was still there. But the praise was gone. Lauren blocked me on every platform. My uncle sent a message that read only, "You didn't have to do this." I typed back one line before blocking him. I did. That afternoon, I met with a lawyer. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Just prepared. She reviewed the documents, the recordings, the bank statements. She nodded slowly. "You have leverage," she said. "And options." Options. The word felt like a gift. That night, my phone buzzed again. This time, a number I didn't recognize. "Ms. Collins. This is the mortgage servicing department. We need to discuss the missed payment." I corrected him calmly. "I'm not Ms. Collins. I'm no longer associated with that property." There was a pause. "I'll note that," he said. When the call ended, I stared out the window at the city lights. Somewhere, a house I'd financed for years sat cold, uncertain, exposed. And for the first time since I could remember, I wasn't responsible for holding anyone together. I made myself a list. Not of losses. Of boundaries. And at the top, I wrote, "Never again confuse endurance with love. 3 weeks passed. Long enough for the noise to fade. Long enough for the panic to settle into consequences. I hadn't checked on them. Not out of bitterness, out of choice. When you finally step out of a storm, you don't turn back just to see how hard it's raining." The lawyer called me on a quiet Tuesday morning. "They want to negotiate," she said. "Specifically, your mother." I closed my eyes, not in pain, but in acceptance. "On what terms?" I asked. "They are willing to transfer partial ownership of the house to you. Retroactive acknowledgement of payments. They want this to end quietly." Quietly. Of course they did. I told her I'd think about it. That evening, I walked through a park near my apartment. Children were playing. Couples sat on benches, wrapped in scarves and half-finished conversations. Ordinary life. Honest life. I realized something as I watched them. I didn't want the house. I'd never wanted the house. What I'd wanted was respect. Safety. A place where my presence wasn't conditional on my usefulness. The next day, I gave my lawyer my answer. "No ownership," I said. "I want full reimbursement. Every dollar. Plus legal fees. Then I walk away." She paused. "That's a clean break." "That's the point." 2 days later, they agreed. The money came in one transfer. Large. Silent. Undeniable. I didn't celebrate. I exhaled. With it, I paid off my car. I booked a small trip I'd postponed for years. I moved the rest into an account labeled Future, not because I knew exactly what I'd do with it, but because it finally belonged to me. Evelyn tried to call once more. I didn't answer. Instead, I wrote her a letter. Not long. Not cruel. Just true. I loved you without limits. You loved me with conditions. I forgive you, but I won't return. I didn't wait for a response. Months later, I heard through Tessa that the house had been sold. Downsized. The story reframed, as people always do when history no longer flatters them. I wished them peace. From a distance. The quiet in my apartment became something I cherished. Not loneliness, freedom. I hosted friends who asked before assuming. I spent holidays where my presence was wanted, not merely tolerated. One evening, while organizing old files, I found the exit plan folder. I hovered over it for a moment. Then I deleted it. Not because it wasn't true. Because it was finished. Some stories don't end with forgiveness. They end with self-respect. And that's enough. If you liked the story, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment with your thoughts.